Get in, nerds. We are playing Burden of Command. Whew. That was a heckin' fight. Let's take care of the lads. We got quite a few casualties, but we got plenty of replacements as well. So, let's throw some experienced replacements into this thing. Most of our squads are doing just fine. Need to clear a little bit of stress here. Now with this squad, I've got a lot of loyalty left, so I'm actually going to put repo depot replacements in here. And then let's spend our prestige and loyalty. It's not quite as efficient, but it's the same effect. Get that squad back up to full. Do I want to do a similar thing with some of these other squads? I think maybe yes. Because I'm not perfect on prestige, and I have a lot more loyalty than I have prestige right now. So I think spending a little loyalty to save a little prestige is the right call right now. With 50 loyalty, I'm doing pretty okay. I'm also going to spend a little bit of R&R on this squad. Maybe some on this squad. And if that ends up being a mistake, then it is what it is. Now I'm really borked on prestige, but hopefully I can earn it back without too much of a problem. It's probably all the R&R I'm going to give for too much longer now. And with that, let's move forward with the campaign. Artillery and mortars often cause more casualties than rifles and machine guns, but good leadership is more reliable. The Siegfried Line. 18th March, Germany. Soft ground. Alright, so it's 6 weeks later, so R&R shouldn't pull any of my squads out of action. Oh, this is like a heckin' mission.
That's the roughest fighting there is. Because you don't know who's in the back of that door. And you don't take any chances. You shoot first and ask second. I mean, lots of times I think in our war, we blame the GI, the soldier, for killing innocent people. And no doubt he does. I'm not saying he doesn't. But you never know. You don't know. If somebody's in the back of that door, give it the bayonet or shoot. You know, you tell them, come on out, come on out. Well, and nobody comes out. Well, what are you going to do?
18th March, 1945. Close combat.
Ahead.
The West Wall. That's a lot of concrete, Colonel Heinches remarks as he peers through his binoculars, carefully shading the exterior lenses to keep the weak sunlight from reflecting off them as he scans the sweeping fortification ahead. But we've got a lot of artillery, and once we push the Germans out of enough pillboxes, the engineers will cut a road straight through. His optimism is certainly bracing. Good plan. The execution will take some doing. Everything's easy at first. His optimism is certainly bracing. Seen from the safety of the muddy ditch, the dragon's teeth are impressive. Nearly waist-high pyramids of concrete that have been weathered toward a pale white. Set in rows of 3 and 6 and interspersed with barbed wire, they're guaranteed to stop tanks by bellying them up for anti-tank guns. The entire border is covered in deep belts that stretch as far as the eye can see. I don't see any Germans yet, First Sergeant Grant remarks, from your other side, at least not moving ones. No, hold on. Hitler has been preparing the West Wall for years. These dragon's teeth are part of vast interlocking defensive pillboxes, wire, and minefields, stretching hundreds of miles along the border. Nice little map here. But it's hard to spot the fortifications directly, given how brush and saplings have grown over the years. Only the churned earth of recently dug foxholes, likely around the pillboxes, gives you an idea of where the enemy might currently be. I'll always call it the Siegfried Line. Sounds better. All that concrete, not into buildings or roads. Dragon's teeth, and over there's the dragon's den. That third one. The belt of fortifications has been called an unbreachable bulwark, a wall where enemy offensives go to die. That's why it's such a surprise to see kids on the road. You see 4 of them through your binoculars, each no more than 10 or 12, out for a walk on the road that parallels the stretch of the West Wall. This far inside the border, they must be Germans. 2 girls with braided hair and 2 boys with big ears. Each grips a book tight as they hurry along. One of the kids suddenly scurries ahead. He halts, turns westward, and throws out his arm in a theatrical Sieg Heil. The others turn in the cardinal directions and copy the gesture. Either that's some sort of game, or they're incredibly optimistic about the future. Spunky little fella, Colonel Heinches considers and lowers his binoculars. I feel like I know him. I doubt that boy knows what's going on. Say this is a good sign the Germans aren't ready for us. We should head back. I'd say it's a good sign the Germans aren't ready for us. A succinct observation, Colonel Heinches says. I remember when you preferred to dance with words. I got old, sir. Just taking a break from that, sir. Yeah, that's still me. Just taking a break from that, sir. Well, you're certainly entitled to that, Heinches says. Let's head back before we ruin our chances of surprise. As you turn to go, the artillery barks in the east. The Germans are shooting at something in the woods about a mile away. Short barrage, they're low on ammo. Whoever that is catching hell. Yep, that happens. Go with the third one. Most sarcastic answer, always. The kids on the road halt their walk and shove their fingers in their ears. That makes a kind of sense. You know, the cover would be the ditch or the dragon's teeth, either of which might be mined. Even so, it's eerie to see them wait patiently as the U.S. Army replies in kind. Only when the exchange fades do the children resume their steady stroll. Huh. Interesting. First Sergeant Grant falls in beside you, eager to be away and at work. Patterson's death has clearly been gnawing at him. That Morris has begun to act like a corporal has lessened the weight. A little. I think that's called wool gathering. Worried about those kids? Keep moving. I think that's called wool gathering. Yes, Captain, First Sergeant says. Those kids, I hope they survive this. Well, if you don't think you can hack it, he'll be fine. He's not thinking straight, sideline him for now. He'll be fine. I trust Grant. Grant cracks a grin that's hard not to return. There isn't much either of you can do about any of this. The war is run by generals but fought by soldiers. With a steady stride, the 2 of you catch back up to Heinches. Your command post is a shell hole on the reverse slope of a nearby hill. Parked in the lee are far more vehicles than you left, and most of those are emblazoned with the tricolor of France. One jeep in particular has 4 stars on it. Colonel Heinch's already brisk stride picks up when he sees those stars. There is a tall, distinguished Frenchman in a maroon beret, or La Rouge Beret, as they call it, in the accoutrement of a lieutenant general amid your officers and men. Dearborn has taken it upon himself to introduce the general, and his private school French seems to be getting a decent workout. Rav stays off to one side, trying very much to be just another American. Not far away, a sketch artist strives mightily to capture the moment. When the general mentions something about a French cross being awarded for the Colmar action, Colonel Heinches hastily brushes the dirt off in mid-stride. Oh boy, Colonel Heinches says to himself, and glances your way without missing a step. Diplomacy is a necessary practice, even when there are no allies around. Sir, I think that's General Betoir. Subtly remind him of the Morocco campaign, prestige +3. And when you do have allies, nod. Hmm. Well, when all else fails, go with the longest. This one gets me prestige. I don't know if that counts. You know him? Colonel Heinz asked incredulously. You relate a little bit of Nickel Company's triumph at Fadala over 2 years ago. The capture of the German armistice commissioners, intense as it was at the time, has become scarcely a footnote. At last, Colonel Heinz holds up a hand. That's amazing stuff, Captain. It really is, but how does this French general fit into it? Explain. You explain how the French in Fadala were never ordered to oppose the landing or the advance of the American army. That it was because of Brigadier General Betoir, then Brigadier General Betoir tied the internal French communications up in knots to maintain surprise. He was held by Vichy authorities for a few days, called a traitor, and then released and promoted before the year ended. Colonel Heinz nods along slowly as you conclude your tale. It certainly is one for the records. Thanks for telling me. Now I can talk to the general on more personal terms. He glances toward where your men continue to dig in on the reverse side of the slope of the nearby hill. I'll also see what I can to make sure Nickel Company gets enough elbow room around here. No need to thank me. Remember, I had your job once. Thus primed, he saunters towards the general. Linger, reduce combat fatigue, optional scene. Or leave, trust +10 and prestige +2, skip the scene. I'm always going for the scene, and reducing combat fatigue ain't bad either, so I'll linger. You pause a moment to watch the French. They bled to free their country, and are now bleeding to put Germany down for the count. Their officers are even now arguing for a close recon of the Siegfried Line. The general in particular wants to personally touch the enemy's concrete. You know Heinz will have his work cut out for him trying to say no to that sort of audacity. A fine bit of theater, but Heinz will say no in the end. Tomorrow I will touch the white concrete. Sarcastic answer. A fine bit of theater. The flare of a match turns your attention to a nearby French captain, his uniform pressed at the edges, lounging nearby. Though it's still daylight, he cups a cigarette as if it were already night. The man acknowledges your gaze and tilts his head in acknowledgement. The man meets your gaze and tilts his head in acknowledgement. Bonsoir, capitaine. Capitaine, he says, the edges of the vowels curled ever so slightly towards Gallic indifference as he resumes in English. My general would apologize for intruding upon your company, but he decided that he must see the dragon for himself. It's quite a sight. I'd expect nothing less. I would too. Nod. I'd expect nothing less. Sounds as if you're well acquainted with men such as the general, the Frenchman says. Perhaps his methods are close to your heart. I have the honor to be Gaspard Le Pelletier, captain and lawyer of the First Corps. As he rattles all that off, he shifts ever so slightly to frame himself with the jagged, distant dragon's teeth at his back. The French one, of course. Of course. Lawyer? French First Corps. Lawyer? I had a life before this war, Pelletier says, and considers the smoke of his cigarette. I can only imagine that I may have one afterward, but that is for later. For now, he's been in this war longer than I have. Pity the French couldn't fight like this in 40. Alrighty then. Pity the French couldn't fight like this in 40. Over the vehicles, General Betoir addresses the American soldiers of your company. His words flow readily, filled with warmth and comradeship which surmounts any language barrier. Dearborn is ably translating, but you can hardly hear him from here. That's alright, I know what he's saying. Wish I still had my hearing. Wonder if Pelletier can. I'm going to go with this third one, I'm just curious. Allow me, Captain Pelletier offers. He cocks an ear and speaks with a touch of the general's voice. It has been a long war. Only those who have felt the bite of it know how terrible it has been. But we have come far together. Now we have but a little farther. The general gestures grandly, as if encompassing the whole of France, then holds up the bronze medal suspended by a red ribbon. Even Stern's eyes light up at the sight of it. A medal, a French medal. Shiny. Gonna go with shiny. Pelletier continues to translate. It is my great honor to extend to you the cross of war for all you have done before. He gestures toward he gestures eastward, toward the whole of Germany. Now the most honorable and safest course is to rely upon valor. This we shall do together. Then the general calls out to the assembled men, Vive l'Amérique! Vive les Cottonbalers! The soldiers reply with a full-throated roar of approval. All officers reduce combat fatigue by 10. Cheer, polite applause, sigh, wait patiently. Cheer! I'm gonna cheer! Having a good time. It's hard not to be inspired by such a demonstration. General Betoir departs. Captain Pelletier quickly says his farewells and joins the last jeep on the caravan. First Sergeant Grant steps over once the brass is cleared out. Now that was a good speech, but now we're almost late for the briefing, Captain. A glance at your watch finds that you are very nearly are. You send a runner to your XO, Lieutenant Dean, and note your intentions. Then you gather up your officers and head out. Alright, I'm going to take a one shot at actually pronouncing this fellow's name correctly. Marie-Émile Antoine Betoir, the commanding general of French First Corps. Only Betoir was actually hard. Actually, with the accent mark here, it should be Betoir. Marie-Émile Antoine Betoir. Anyway. The battalion command post used to be a picturesque Rhineland farm. It's also it's also, I believe, the screenshot, the shot that they used for the mysterious barn in Crossroads, the tutorial scenario number 4. But the driveway has been torn up by treads, and the farmhouse leveled by artillery. Only the barn remains standing. Inside, ruddy rays of sunlight leak in through the bullet holes, casting streams of dusty light across empty stalls that still stink of horses. In the open space situated between stout wooden pillars are a jumble of general-issue chairs and tables. The maps are already out, and being pored over by the captains and platoon leaders of the other companies. Aerial reconnaissance photographs are set in neat fans at one end of the table. A glance at them confirms what you already saw. 3 belts of dragon's teeth and plenty of bunkers. We're getting an attack of the soundtrack here. This is nice. I like this. Very strong. Wasteful, Rad laments as he eyes the photographs. How's that concrete and steel to defend a Reich which does not deserve to exist? Imagine what roads, what bridges, what buildings they might have been instead. When King Agesilaus of Sparta was asked about fortifications, he instead pointed to his men. He turned to your notes. I doubt that has changed. Let us hope you are right, Lieutenant Rao replies. Concrete and iron must be broken, but men can be changed. An aide arrives with the heavily laden packets. Both of them are labeled restricted. Your officers begin to look over the briefing materials the Battalion S2 has set out for everyone, as well as the latest arrivals. Stern and Thompson page through the intelligence documents side by side, pausing to study what the photographs and the maps lack. A brief glance at the photographs reveals that the pillboxes are very hard to see. Nature has had years to hide them. The obvious ones are circled in black pen. The probables get a question mark beside them. Before long, Major Flynn strides into the barn and waves you to your seats before anyone can think of saluting. At ease, gentlemen, he says as he steps briskly to the head of the table. We all know why we're here, but in case you're just joining us, welcome to Germany. That gets a chuckle from the newest officers. The veterans have already heard the joke. Major Flynn lets things die down a little, then holds up a wet patrol map. Gentlemen, your target is shifted about 3,000 yards. We'll be hitting this stretch northeast of Rimschweiler. Wait, what? That's not our patch. Colonel Heinz just didn't scout that part. We were supposed to hit opposite Mittelbach. We'll do the third one. A communal grunt of surprise echoes. Your officers exchange worried glances. Just earlier today, Colonel Heinz himself had indicated the Nickel Company would be assaulting opposite Mittelbach, where resistance seemed weakest. Major Flynn continues. 1st Battalion will deploy before dawn and assault the line. He points to a map that bears an inked stretch of dragon's teeth. 3rd Battalion will follow on the right and launch a separate assault. 2nd Battalion will be in reserve, waiting to exploit our gains or repel a counterattack. There's a bit of murmuring about that. 2nd Battalion was dealt a pasting in Utweiler a few days ago when the Germans counterattacked with Tiger tanks and took over 200 prisoners before 3rd Battalion got up to repel them. The chances 2nd Battalion can do much more than lick its wounds are slim. So no real reserve. Maybe 2nd Battalion still has MGs and mortars. I sense regiments hand in this. Maybe they still got MGs and mortars. None of those considerations appears to dissuade Major Flynn. He points to the junction of 1st and 3rd Battalion. Now, for this to work, we've got to be coordinated, which means I'm putting Nickel Company on the scene here. You'll be at the fore, attacking with 1st Battalion deployed to your left, and you'll be attacking while 3rd Battalion goes in on your right. Why us, sir? Trust plus 20, prestige minus 1. Let out a sigh that my officers alone can hear. Stay quiet, prestige plus 1. I'm going to go for the prestige. I got plenty of trust. The reason for this is obvious, Major Flynn says. Nickel Company possesses unbroken leadership. From the shores of Morocco onward, there is no one I would rather assign to this task. They will get the job done. A short round of applause breaks out. Nickel Company's string of successes remains impressive. Flynn then lays out the dispositions of the 1st Battalion, starting with Dog Company on your left and moves the rest of 3rd Battalion with L Company on your immediate right. As promised, you and your men will go in first. Bait, recon, the early birds. The early birds! Tonight artillery will harass the enemy the entire front, Major Flynn says. Prior to the attack, engineers will breach the first row of Dragon's Teeth and move what mines they can without tipping off the enemy. Before dawn, trucks will take you to your jump-off points. Tanks will provide initial fire support while chemical mortars lay down smoke. There may even be air support if both God and our Air Corps are willing. Get in, get on, and get through. The briefing breaks up into smaller discussions concerning communication between advancing companies, the employment of reserves, and the secondary lines of advance. Approach Major Flynn about additional support. Ask for support, reduce prestige. Talk extensively with C and L Company commanders. Reduce reinforcement time, or review the revised assault additional reconnaissance. Ooh. Let's review the revised assault sector. You dive into the briefing materials, absorbing what you can of the new assault sector. For one thing, the Germans are expected to be more numerous. After a while, you look up and find that Major Flynn's about to leave. No doubt he's headed over to regiment to set things in motion. Hurry over and ask for additional support. Additional options, additional prestige costs, or focus on my task, plus 1 prestige. I'm going to ask for more support. You catch him in the tent flap. He turns on inside a sigh. What is it, Captain? I've got a laundry list of things to prepare. Sir will need mortars, lots of them. Add 81mm mortar support, minus 2 prestige. Sorry, I know the engineers will be overworked. Engineers attached, risk prestige, prestige minus 2. Serve any additional machine gun teams. Any additional machine gun risk prestige, minus 4 prestige. I'm just going to go with the mortars. There's no additional mortars in my pockets, Captain, Flynn says. You'll have to make do with what you have, but I'll ask the forward observer not to stint on the rounds. He's new as of last week. Maybe he'll take it to heart. And with that, he moves on. The planning goes ahead. Midnight is come and gone by the time you make it to your cot. So many details dance in your dreams that it's almost a relief when a distant clatter of pots wakens you well before dawn. The mess crew have finally gotten in. Good thing, too. Breakfast will likely be the only hot meal of the day. Beneath the canvas of the mess tent, you turn toward the subdued roar of flame and find First Sergeant Grant tending an upturned, unpainted German helmet set over a compact stove beside the remnant of a low stone wall. That's too many prepositional phrases. I'm just kidding. I kind of like the flowery writing in this game. A trickle of steam rises from the rim as blue flames nibble below. Your first sergeant glances your way, and the slight grin that brightens his features reminds you of the day years ago on the beaches of Morocco. Just getting a little something prepared for you, Captain. I even remembered to move the liner this time. There's a burble of water in the helmet, nice and hot. Could use a good shave. One more cup of your coffee probably won't kill me. An oatmeal breakfast, then. One more cup of your coffee probably won't kill me. Probably. First Sergeant Grant agrees as he whips up 2 cups, one for him. He even has the grace to sip first to show you it isn't terrible. Indeed, even a sniff of the brew is utterly bracing and worthy of a rationing poster. Besides, we should employ every weapon in our arsenal today. You set to work. Grant takes apart the little stove. Captain, this'll be a hell of a day, he says as the early birds begin to chirp in the dark. Do with less so they'll have more. Rationing gives you your fair share. A rationing poster for coffee. There were many variations of these. I've seen this this poster before, but not used this way. This would be a long time ago. This is about 15 years ago. I saw an absolutely fantastic version of this that says, "How about a nice tall glass of shut the fuck up?" The internet's a wild place. Nickel Company gathers across from a belt of dragon's teeth in the pre-dawn gloom. A lone Sherman tank rumbles into a hull-down position behind you. Engineers scurry back from a hard night of clearing mines beyond the dragon's teeth and marking the safe corridor with white cloth tape. Their work done, they leave the rest to you. Your men will look for the order and they know will come. You give it, and the attack commences with a mighty rush. The mission, secure at least 4 objectives. The men suffer no more than heavy casualties.
Just put your shoulder into it.
All right. Objective, bunker, bunker, objective. Objective. Oh boy, this is a heckin' map. We got objectives all over the place. All right. We are tank immobilized. Okay. Various bunkers. We need 1 objective for a minor defeat, 3 for a draw, 5 for a minor victory, 7 for a major victory. And the objectives are here. We're already holding one of them. This one. Here, here, and here. And then here, here, and here. Where's objective number 7? Oh. There's one way up on this hill here. I can't see any of it due to all these other fellas. Woo! We got a lot of dudes. Alright. Well, this will be interesting. Alright. I'm in command of a whole frickin' a whole acre of fellas. This is gonna be wild. This is gonna be a wild one. That having been said, it has been a gigantic recording session. I did the entire Battle of Strasbourg in one clean run, and then all the way up to here. So it's been a minute. I really need to go to bed. So that is where I'm gonna have to call it from here. My nerds, I have had a great time. I hope you have as well, and I will see you on the other side.